Welcome to the pre-mirror before live stream. We've been having it afterwards, but it's, for us, it's pretty late by then. So Mary had the bright idea of having it before, and then we can watch the show, and then we can go into Discord for a while and have fun in there. So, and I'm wearing a nice car t-shirt today because I went out driving my nice sports car for a rare occasion, and it overheated. Turned out it was the electric fan in it stopped working, which is an easy repair. I'll look at it tomorrow. So, but that's why I'm wearing a car t-shirt, because whenever I go out in my classic sports car, I wear that. And mind you, this is not, one of these. It's not a, $1 million car. It's an old 1977 Fiat 124 Spider, which Mary and I love. I've always been a sports car nut ever since I was a kid. And Judy and I were talking about that the other night, and because she likes cars too. And I found a lot of people who have these experiences are car people. And I said, well, maybe like for me, before I got to high school, I had a Triumph Spitfire, and I loved that car. To me, it was my spaceship that it gave me nobility and mobility, and it would take me where I wanted to go as long as it wasn't overheating or breaking down. And it was like my happy spot, and that's been maintained to this day, because I still really appreciate a good car. So, and racing, my dad used to race, and he unfortunately didn't live long enough to ever talk to about this stuff. But I think if I had, I would have found that he had his own fair share of strange things happen in his life, because his father, my grandfather, I spent a lot of time with him in Marin County. And boy, the stuff he told me about, and you'd think he was making it up, and his family accused him of that, made fun of him. But when I spent a lot of time with him, I'm late nights walking out in the country in the dark and the stars, and we experienced a great deal of neat stuff. So he was definitely telling me the truth. In fact, this was one of them. We were out there. I know a lot of you have watched the movie, but Something Is There. So I go into my grandfather in the film, but we saw this thing, and it just it came towards us, and it slowed down, and it just kind of looked at us for a minute, and then it went off, and it was just this amazing fireball kind of thing. So just really, really amazing. It lit up the telephone pole. It was astounding. And then of course we went inside, and my grandmother made fun of him, which wasn't really nice. So, and of course I'm talking about the movie, but Something Is There. That's also the book. So I used my friend Paul did the artwork. Paul Butcher from the UK did this artwork for the film. He also helped work on the film, did some sculpting for some of the Men in Black masks. And so I used this also on the book cover. And if you're saying book, I didn't know he had a book. It's on Amazon, and it needs a re-edit. And allegedly, it's going to be re-edited and some new material added to it and be reissued soon, I hope. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to do it myself, because I don't like waiting around for things. So
there I am.
Oh, there you are. Shoot, you can bring yourself on. That's so cool. Oh, you look
Isn't that
pretty.
neat?
Yeah, you look so pretty too. So there's Mary. So go ahead and ask her a bunch of questions. I'm going to go out there in the
No. I mean, you can ask questions, but he's not leaving.
I'm readjusting my camera, because being a professional filmmaker drives me nuts when my top of my head's cut off. Well, that's kind of the style.
Rocket boy.
So we have some time here before the premiere starts.
Parsi.
Yeah, she's here. We have some time here before the show starts. So what would you guys like to talk about? You listen to me babble on enough, I think. Or maybe you got some questions you like to ask. And yes, I'm feeling better today, but it's still there. But something is there. thus the title. So last night was very peaceful. I actually got
Yes.
a whole 8 hours of sleep, and that was just astounding.
We slept till 7. It was amazing.
That's sleeping in for us, but also we were up to almost 11, which we rarely do. We were caught up watching and saw the last one of Resident
Resident
Alien.
Alien.
For now, I'm sure there'll be another season. So
So
that
what's the thing
thumping
about what is the movie tonight, Steve?
movie. Oh,
Yeah, what we're gonna
that.
watch
Oh,
after this?
yeah. Well, it is a movie. It's geez, which one is it? I'm drawing a blank. See, I'm still affected. Um, why am I drawing a blank? You remember what it is,
It's
don't you?
Bruce.
It's
Bruce.
Bruce. Oh, yes,
Bruce.
Bruce, who we had, yes, Solheim, who I was accused of not being able to pronounce correctly, but I did. Yes, Bruce came in front of our cameras and spilled his guts um, about his experiences in the beings he interacts with. Um, and it was very interesting. He was on the show, and I did some visuals for it and stuff. Although I used AI again for some of the stuff. I prefer to make the things in 3D, create my own meshes, wireframes, whatever you want to call them, and articulate them and animate them and create backgrounds and all that stuff. Because it doesn't have that AI look to it. It looks like it has soul. And I've been using AI. I've been encouraged to use it. So I figured, well, let's give it a try. I didn't like it. I just felt that it all looks the same. It looks just like the stuff in the other guy's video, and it doesn't have any soul to it. It doesn't have distinctiveness that I can find. And I use several different versions. I paid some money for a year subscription to some of those, and I don't think I may use them once in a while in a pinch. Um,
Thanks, Parsi.
but I just don't like it. So from here on out, everything's going to be done by yours truly. So, and that will be anything from actual artwork to animations done using the 3D software that I use and Unreal Engine. So, but it's a good show. Every one of them's different. Everyone's different, but yet the same theme is always there, and you'll hear the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. We heard it last night with Mike, and we even going to hear it with next week, which will be Casey, who works with crystals, and she's amazing. She's again different. So each time we get someone, yes, they have these experiences, but they have a different take on it. They have different experiences, different stories. Some of them can channel, some of them can look into crystals and take photographs and show beings that they interact with. And she's done that rather successfully. And you could say that, well, it's just reflections inside of the crystal. But the thing that I find so compelling about it is the eyes. The eyes, I mean, and some of them you can clearly see their eyes. Now, maybe it's her own eyes reflecting back into it. I don't think so, because she's looking through a camera when she takes the pictures. So it's pretty amazing. And our next door neighbor is playing very loud hip hop Latino music. So if you're hearing boom, 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 that's not the Taos sound. That's our next door neighbor on a Saturday working. I'm reluctant to go tell him, can you please turn that down? I just hate people who do that. So I'm not going to be one of those people. So,
Steve, Rocket Boy has an interesting question there.
okay. What? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you read it.
Um, sometimes I will say to Mary or myself, I can sense it tonight, and that doesn't happen. And other times I can't sense it at all, and it happens. So sometimes when I do sense it, it does happen.
To me, it's always a surprise.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we've been so tired lately too. You just black out, go to sleep, and because we spend hours working on the show and keeping up with all the email and uh, there's so much we do besides just shooting, editing, cutting. Same thing. Putting the visual effects take me a long time to do because I have to create them and animate them, and there goes my sinuses again.
Oh,
Excuse me. No, no, no. Don't think that. So we're really tired, you know. Add that to sleeping on a cot and not being able to sleep in a real bed in a nice home makes it kind of rough. So currently it's any kind of there's a mood that will happen sometimes. Sometimes I'll see funny flickering lights inside the building. I'll see things move up to the corner of my eye, and those could be precursors to a visit. So, and sometimes, rarely, I'll hear in my head something about it's going to happen tonight. Be prepared for it, kind of thing. So, hello from Australia. Hello, Australia. Always wanted to go down there
uh,
and hang out with the Aboriginal people and talk to them about the dream time.
okay.
Lisa, thank you so much.
I don't think, as far as my experiences go, I don't. They're just part of my life. I don't think I'd go back and change anything.
No, I wouldn't change this experience. Uh, I
Because what else would I be changing in my life? I mean,
well, the thing is, for me, it's enriched my life and it's made me. It's raised my consciousness. That doesn't mean it's made me more intelligent. It means that it's my consciousness is more self-aware of itself and the cosmos and everything I'm connected to. Like we talked about last night, there's not a day that I get up and think about the stars, and I have this sense in my mind beyond the earth where I am on this little speck orbiting the sun out on this immense arm in the Milky Way galaxy. And I look at the sun in the morning and I know what that is. That's a star, just like all the other stars you see at night. And that's our star. I mean, that's an amazing thing just to realize that every day and have it be part of your existence. And I've been doing this ever since I was a little kid because I was taught right away about these things. My family was really into science. So, uh, um, with the grays or any other species, it's been mostly it's been the grays. I mean, they're really not gray. The little ones are kind of. In fact, they had kind of a blue tinge to them, but the tall ones, the tall one, the one I've been dealing with all my life, she is quite pale. Um, and I've seen her without her eye covers, the black eyes too. In fact, she removed them one time. Um, let's see. I'm still trying to read that comment. Where'd it go? Okay. I did. Yes, I did see a reptilian once, only once, and I think I can find a picture of it. Did I take that picture down? Let's see. I did, but I can put it back up again. And it was. I remember telling Yvonne about it. She said, "We'll do a drawing of it," and so I did. Um, we'll see. It's going to be pretty easy to find, I think. First of all, I'm going to have put. Do I have her already? Yes, I do. So we're not going to do that one. Okay.
okay, Rachel, I put in the chat the email address.
Visitor related, visitor art. I know you pesky little lizard guy. You're in here somewhere.
You're looking through your art.
Yeah, well, I had them all up here where I could easily, click on it and put it up, and I took them down because I had so much, and I didn't want to confuse it with our guests' pieces of art that he sent us. So, it's here. If I had more time, I would.
You're welcome.
I'd find it right away. It's got to be here. Come on. I'm probably looking right at it and not seeing it. You ever do that? It's it's striking, and it's not what you'd think. Um, you've seen probably lots of people that they've done illustrations of the lizard guys, and they're usually, was that it? I think I'm going to find it. I'm feeling good. There's a drum roll in the background. Um, there he is. I found him. And where'd he go? Because I just, there it is. Okay. Here we go. There you go. How's that? Now, I did this other drawing that is more. I did this because I thought it'd be interesting to do, and this is a lot what other people have sort of described, but this was, and it's really neat. I mean, I really like that. It makes me want to do a sculpture, but this is what I actually saw that close up, sitting next to me on a cold metal table, and who knows where I was when I came to, and it looked at me. It didn't say anything. I decided that this is a little creepy, and I tried
Yes, it is.
to move. Thanks, Nova. Off the table very slowly and just try to slither away from it. No pun intended. And it put its leg out and put it around my leg, and because I didn't have any clothes on, I could feel its skin on my leg, and then I heard it say, "Where are you going? You're not going anywhere." And that was the last thing I remembered.
Ooh.
So, yes, I did experience that once. So, to remove it, I have to do this. I mean, it creeps me out still.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can keep that in the file.
Well, yeah, but they only allow you to have so many things loaded onto their server. I can load up anything from the hard drive. So, well, thank you, Charlie Adams. I think we were all terrified. I mean, I don't know, but well, I was pretty scared. I mean, Mary heard me, so
yeah, I had to wake him up and shake him.
What's really bad for me is when I can't move, and no matter what's going on, whether there's beings there, aliens, or whatever, that feeling is a
who says we don't get PTSD?
It's very hard to deal with. So Lisa, so that you recognize that, because I haven't showed that drawing to many people. I worked on Resident Alien last season. Boy, these go by fast. I'll let you know if it gets here. I hope so, Jamie.
That was Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie. I don't know if you know much about my history, but I started working in the business with John Chambers and Tom Berman and Rick Baker in the early 70s. The first thing I worked on was a Planet of the Apes TV series. I later went on to work on Star Trek because I had met and became friends with Fred Phillips, very famous makeup artist in Hollywood who worked on The Outer Limits and Star Trek, the original Star Trek TV series. And he was a great friend, and he asked me to work on Star Trek. And the first thing he asked me to do was Mr. Spock's ears, which was just an amazing thing that I to this day never got over, because Spock was my hero. I was 16 years old in high school, and I wanted to be just like Mr. Spock.
You said you're not.
No, hardly. But Gene was amazing. He was an amazing guy. And, you'd come in the morning and he would he's like, "Hey, Steve, how you doing? Sit down. Let's have a talk." And he's just this really amazing guy.
And as far as the way that we deal with this is, we do meditate. We are on the yoga mat every morning after coffee and for meditation and yoga. and it really does help.
I'm still going quiet because I'm trying to read all your comments. Alchemist, thank you very, very much. Now,
Thank you,
when
Alchemist.
they do this, isn't this supposed to show up on the screen? Is that only on YouTube that they see it?
Uh, right. No, it showed up here on StreamYard. I see it.
I don't you do? I don't see
Yeah,
it.
I see it. It's a big
But
old star.
maybe it's because I'm the host. I don't know. But thank you so much. It really helps. Um,
But I can bounce over there and see how many of
you
you
get
are
this.
there.
I'm just reading what Daniel said, and I talk to friends and strangers and family, and I get the same look. Well, the thing about that is that so many. Yes, I know the Bashar. I know him personally. The thing about that is that most people, no matter what their age is, they're still kind of, when it comes to the subject matter, living in the past. They're going on the past where this was all a joke. There was no credibility to it. There is so much for them to research and look into to find out that there is substance, real substance, to seeing UFOs and even experiencing the occupants inside and even being taken by them. They simply haven't taken the time to do this, and they probably won't either. I mean, I've told people, go look it up. Base your opinion on actual research and facts that you've learned from yourself, and they just don't want to do it. So yet they'll still make derogatory comments and, as you said, make that look. So
Roll those eyes.
yeah, deer in the headlights. Do you look at people to interview, do their stories, or do you wait till people reach out to you? We do look,
Both.
and we're
Both.
looking right now. In fact, I got a
We would
call
love
out.
to have someone tomorrow, but we couldn't find one.
Yeah, because if somebody else doesn't, after Casey's next week, we have to have someone else to keep the shows coming every Saturday night, and so that may have to be me again because I have a
Or
million.
there's always Mars Attack SNG.
No, 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 no. What I plan to do, and I'm starting to work on it as of tomorrow in little bits and pieces, is I spent time, a full year with my grandmother, my mother's mother, and she was remarried, and I had a step grandfather. He was another World War II veteran. He was a fighter pilot in the war. Pretty messed up guy. They were both kind of alcoholics. My grandmother was brilliant. She was this genius and worked with Ansel Adams. I spent a lot of time with Ansel Adams and her. But she moved up to Bernie and got a job with the mill, a mining mill, in this little town. Bernie, several thousand feet up in the mountains, is just this little isolated place, just a perfect place for who to have access to you. Um, and one night, we went into town. I was in the back seat. They were driving the Fury. He had a Fury. He loved that car, and that Plymouth Fury. Drove to the store probably to pick up cigarettes and alcohol, and they were closed. So there was like another little town, like not too far away, and they took a drive, and it's just really isolated, and there's no other cars on the road the whole time we're driving and winding through the trees and this little 2-lane road. And then suddenly off to the right, where all these bright lights like Caltrans workers have at night. They're really bright. In fact, when I drive past people late at night, Caltrans on the freeway at the bright lights, and I see them in the hard hats and stuff, I get creeped out by it, because that particular night, men blocked the road and wouldn't let us pass. And so my grandfather pulled over, and the next thing I knew, these guys in silver hats were just like Barney and Betty Hill, floating my grandparents out of the car, kind of lifting them out effortlessly. That's hard to say. So I'm thinking about doing that one. And and visualizing it using my, so I can show you what I felt and saw that night. It was a pretty amazing thing. If you think that's something you might find interesting, in case we don't get someone else, would you? What do you mean saying, Well, I know,
Daryl.
Daryl. I haven't talked to him in a while. So your husband doesn't even believe you. Well, I know how hard that is. And then you're feeling run over the next day after experience. You're not yourself. It's really hard to get hold of yourself. You have to go to work and you have to deal with people, and it's really, really difficult. And then your husband says to you, "What's wrong with you? Snap out of it. What's your problem?" And that's what I got from my late wife. It was awful.
He gets hugs now.
I get hugs now. It's very hard. Broad day in the morning still denied it. Yeah, they will see things with their own eyes, as my late wife did, and her stepdaughter, and
Ooh,
accuse you of
Bernie's
making them
hard.
see it. Yes, Bernie.
Yeah, I asked her if she lived close to Ventura. Bernie is not close.
So you live in Bernie, Lisa? What do you mean you're saying you live in? Yeah, I meant Daryl Anka. Yeah, that's right. You know, I'm kind of haunted by Bernie. I looked at it on Google Maps. I mean, I spent so much time in the forest by myself with my dog and my cork pop gun shotgun when I was a kid, and ran across rattlesnakes, lions, big buck deers, all kinds of stuff. I never ever nothing ever happened to me. It was like I'd had these moments where when the mountain lion crossed the road and stopped and looked at me, we just had this eye contact, and it's almost like he smiled at me or something, or she. I think it was a she, because she just decided to move on. Probably because I had a dog. They're not real thrilled about that. But I saw a bear once. It saw me, and I just stayed still, and it just looked at me, and it went on. There was so much danger in that forest by myself, and my grandparents just let me wander off, and I hunt for snakes and lizards and bring them home and fish. It was amazing. But there were all these other things that happened up there too, that when I look back on it, I know what was going on. So you're about 1 hour away from Bernie. So you've ever been to Bernie? Hello, New Zealand. Another place I've always wanted to visit. You're very lucky to be living there, I think. You don't have to be sorry for being late. It's 1 a.m. in the UK. Well, of course it is. You're 8 hours ahead. See, I'm very familiar with that because after being married to a British woman for 33
33
years,
years.
we become very aware of the time difference, and also when it's time to have a proper cup of tea, which I still have. And
And that's also why we did this an hour earlier instead of an hour later, is for you guys.
so I can have a cup of tea with the show.
The show.
Because Paul, or my dear friend Paul Butcher in the UK, sends us care packages of Yorkshire tea. It's still in the bag, but it's
Hey, Jill.
better than Lipton. Come to Ireland. I'd love to come to Ireland.
Oh, yes.
Hello, GC. Hello back to
That's
you.
Jill. Yeah.
Hello from the planet Earth. Well, yep. we're all here on the planet Earth. I think I'm on the planet Earth. I'm not entirely sure sometimes. So I'm drinking Earl Grey hot. Very good. Number one.
One of my favorite.
Yes, both. Well, I'm not a big Earl Grey fan, but I love Patrick Stewart and I love Next Generation. And I was privileged to have worked on the very first episode, an encounter at Farpoint. So I remember sitting on the set with my late wife, and we were sitting there in our little director's chairs, and looking over at Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis, Brent Spiner, and Gene was there, and he was his usual jovial self, and some of the other ones. And I said to Jilly, I said, "Do you think these guys have any idea what they're in for at all? Do they have any idea what's going to happen to them because they're doing this? You know?" And I don't think they did, but it happened just like I thought it would. They would be a success, and they would be icons. And Jonathan Frakes was really, really a fine gentleman. He was great to work with. I had to work with him rather close up and personal, and he was terrific. They were all so young then. So was I. Dark roast Dunkin' here. Okay,
That's coffee.
we're all talking about the different kinds of tea.
Yeah, well, I like coffee too.
I'm not a coffee person. We drink
I
Yorkshire tea.
am.
GC, that's good. Yeah, Yorkshire's. I like it. It's pretty strong, and we actually there's a tea here when we run out of the good stuff from the UK that Trader Joe's makes. It's called English breakfast, and of course in America, anything that's black tea is called English breakfast, and it's really not. But actually, the Trader Joe stuff isn't bad. It's not as strong, but it has a really good flavor to it, and really, for me, tea is about the
Hey,
flavor.
Joe, that's great.
You got to have cream and sugar in it. So we use stevia and almond milk, but it works. It really does. And you get used to it after a while because I can't have sugar and I can't have dairy. So, but it makes it the right color. Um, did you ever have I never had input into stories. I was strictly a makeup guy. We did. I did ears and aliens and background stuff and everything. But
Yeah, I
they
think you did lots of commercials.
if I had an idea and could was hanging out with Gene and suggested it, he probably would have listened because he was a listener. He hired his fans of the show and of him to work on the show, which is probably one of the most intelligent things I've ever seen a producer creator ever do, because he understood the value of that. And so many people in Hollywood didn't. They just thought that Star Trek fans were like people who thought they were abducted by aliens. They were weirdos. They were called them Trekkies and stuff. Oh, those Trekkies and stuff. For God's sakes, people, they love Star Trek. They love you. And I'm referring to some of the cast, and not in Next Generation, but in some of the other shows. And I'm not going to bring up the names of the cast members that did this, but one of them, more than one, they were invited to a convention and they pulled the, you need to get a life type thing, and you're being stupid about Star Trek, and it's just a TV show. And I'm not talking about Shatner. He did that jokingly, but one of the other stars did do it, and it cost them their job on the show, and rightly so. Because if you're working on Star Trek, you're getting paid good money, and you're working on something really meaningful because of the message that the show had, and you should appreciate it. So that's my take on it anyway. Did I see?
Steve,
Oh,
Ann Carter mentioned street cleaners. We're going to have
oh,
to talk later about street cleaners, Ann.
yes. It was well, it wasn't street cleaners. It was street workers, and they came to my house.
No. I'm talking about mine.
Oh,
When
okay.
I was a kid in the street cleaners and the summer
I just,
parties I told you
John
about.
Condor. Hi, John. Um, I love that book, Rendezvous with Rama, and I also played the video game that was available for the Commodore 64 way back when. I wish they'd do another version of it because it would be really something. I mean, I've got VR headsets, and that would be an amazing thing to experience. But it would be great if they made a film of it. And I've heard that's in the works. And I forget the name of the director, but he takes it very seriously. And if we're lucky, we'll get another really good Arthur C. Clarke sci-fi film done. Thank you, Stanley Kubrick, for the best science fiction film, in my opinion, that was ever made. But I think that Rendezvous with Rama could really be a brilliant piece to do. I almost want to read it again. Well, Star Trek and Star Wars are two entirely different things. So, I got to
Me
spend a lot.
too with the
I got to spend
Commodore.
a lot of time with Mr. Mark Hamill, and he's a very, very nice man. And and I loved the first movie, and I loved the second movie, and then I don't know about the other one. So, I've got a nice X-wing, a studio scale X-wing here, all lit up with Luke sitting inside of it. But most of the stuff I have, it's 2001, and Battlestar Galactica, the remake, which was the most amazing science fiction television series I've ever seen, and the message in it is amazing, and it does relate to this experience in many, many ways, as Star Trek does. It's a daily struggle. Oh, I can relate to having PTSD. Mine is, there goes, CPTSD. Which one is that?
I don't know. No.
I don't know everything. Isn't that a surprise?
Oh, you don't know everything?
Oh, and I never want to either, because everything will be pointless. Oh, a Commodore 64 was a great computer. I had the VIC-20 first, then the Commodore 64, and then the 128. I spent a long time with the Apple II, and I spent a long time with
complex.
the
It's
Amiga.
complex.
It's amazing. It's what?
Complex PTSD.
Oh, complex. Oh, I see.
I'm not sure what that is.
Mark Hamill's really a good actor, and the TV show Fall of the House of Usher. If you haven't seen it, he plays a lawyer in that. He's fantastic. I mean, he really has range. Yes, Battlestar Galactica was amazing. Oh, I'm glad you like the T-shirt. I have a lot of car T-shirts, and they're all vintage Le Mans and Formula One cars and stuff. My favorite era for cars is the 60s and 70s, and even the 50s. But like so many things today, the new cars sort of lack soul, and you don't shift them anymore. You got paddles, and the body designs look like something that should be flying in space instead of, I don't know. It's just, for me, the art
No.
of car designing is kind of not what it used to be. Yes, we're just hanging out. This is just talking
This is
before
just
the
pre-show.
premiere. We'll cut off at about 5 minutes too, and watch the premiere with you guys. It's always a hard thing for me to do, because every time you get another person to go in front of the camera, um, you shoot the footage, and then you say, what am I going to do with this? I can just leave it dry and just let the interview, it's not an interview, but just let them tell the story and add no music, add no entertainment value to it whatsoever. Just leave it, just talking head. And I just can't leave that alone, because I've been a filmmaker in movie business for too long, and I'm feeling emotions and I'm feeling things from the person that aren't coming across because it's too dry. So each time I do a show, I have to do, as Casey said, my magic. And I know for some people, very few, it's not magic. They don't like it. They want it left alone. They want it to just be straight on talking heads, and
Thank you, Aurora.
They don't want to see visual effects. One person said, well, you put visual effects in it, you take away from your credibility. Well, tell that to Steven Spielberg also, who did Encounters. I mean, what really got me about Encounters is it was very cinematic, and it was less documentary and less dry, and it pulled you in. And we want to pull people in, especially the people who are on the outside who are starting to get curious about this. You need to pull them in, and I don't think they're going to sit still for just talking heads. So we got to show visuals. We got to keep it.
Some people are interested and they don't understand, so we feel like we want to help them understand. And if it takes a little extra CGI or storytelling, that's what we're doing.
Thank you, Aurora. And Rachel, yes, 2001. I can't get that movie out of my head. I never will. Um, Close Encounter was great. I remember the first time I saw it in the theater. I remember what was being worked on. I was working on another show, so I wasn't working on it. I could have worked on it, but I wasn't. And I saw that film. It just drove me up the walls. There was just something in that film I could just relate to so strongly. But you know what? Communion hadn't come out yet, and there was all this stuff happening during that time because I was writing a screenplay for a film that we made that was a major motion picture that called The Daytime Ended with Dorothy Malone and a bunch of other stars in it. And it was my script and it was my story idea. And it was little did I know that what I was writing about was actually based on my own experience. And I remember when we were writing the film, my writing partner and I, something happened one night, and that one I need to do too, because I just thought I had a wild dream. But my real memory of it was that we were writing, and I looked over at my friend Wayne, and his head was down, and he had papers in his lap, and I had papers in my lap because we were writing the script. And Wayne, I couldn't wake him up, no matter what he did. And then something said, go outside. Now, this is in the middle of North Hollywood in the evening. And I go outside and there's this craft sitting over the neighborhood, over the street. And he had no memory of it. That's one I should go back and take a look at with Yvonne. But there was stuff going on all the time like that. I even built an observatory on top of my roof at the house in North Hollywood, and had my telescope up in there. I should have looked more closely because in Close Encounters, if you watch, you'll see on top of the house there's an observatory he started to build. And they cut that part of the film out, but you can still see it up there. So that film is amazing, and there's so much about that film that is authentic, not just made up. That the real deal, right there underneath the public's nose.
Thank you, John.
Oh, John, thank you. Good God. Thank you so much. AR, I'm glad you feel that way. I really am. It's what I need to hear because, maybe 5 out of 1,000 people will say, you've lost me. You're putting in that music and you're putting in those visuals, and it just takes away from the credibility, and it just, it's not nice.
Yeah, I'd like them to walk in our shoes.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of people who wouldn't be able to watch Resident Alien that have these experiences or investigating them, or as Mike said last night, the nuts and bolts people. They if you can't see the humor in something and it's there, I mean, at the same time, the show is very humorous. It has some very heavy stuff to say and talk about. It's a little bothersome that they're making the Greys out to be the very thing trying to destroy the planet. But I still think it's funny, especially when George Takei is doing the voice of the Grey. Well, oh my, he kept saying, oh my. It was just wonderful. Yes, I liked him.
I love George.
What a nice man. He was great because I was so lucky to work on that first Star Trek movie and get to know all of those guys, and they were just terrific. I was just, for a little kid that grew up in the 60s, watched Star Trek when he's 16, 17 years old, and dreamed of what coming to Hollywood and maybe meeting Gene Roddenberry and working on Star Trek, and it actually happened. I'm eternally grateful.
Okay, it's getting on quarter of. We might
Yeah.
want to wrap this up, and we'll see you all in
Yeah,
chat
if
during the premiere.
if you have anything more to say
Thank
or
you,
ask,
Jill.
thank you very much,
Jill.
Jill.
GC.
GC, that's Jill. So
Yeah.
we have a new avatar and everything now. Okay. Is Linda responsible for spreading fear? Yeah. I don't think she is. But then again, Linda, and I know Linda. I mean, she has her own perspective on this, and I don't think she's having these experiences, and I don't think she's in any kind of communication with with the visitors. So you have to respect her perspective, because for her it may be a very frightening thing. It is for me, honestly. But I do know. Look, anyone who says to me, "There's still hope. Don't give up," the way they did. That's just one thing.
Yeah,
I
and on that we need to say goodnight. Well, not
really.
good night. We'll see you in chat.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
It
we're
was
gonna go
great
ahead
to
and
see you all.
close.
And
Thank you. Thanks, Parsi.
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And like Mary said, we'll be in after the show
We'll be in chat
in Discord.
and Discord, both.
Okay. All right.
Okay. We'll see you guys.
I love you guys a whole bunch, and we'll see you in a little while. Bye bye.
Bye.